So for our final section, we're going to talk about C, or complements. And we're going to divide basically everything else in the sentence into this great big category of complements. We're going to divide it into two categories. First, we're going to talk about parallelism, and then we're going to talk about modifiers. So let's begin with parallelism. There are two concepts, and in this video segment, we're going to talk about the first parallelism concept, which is connectives. Let me write on the board what our four parallel connective partners are. So these parallel connectives, they're kind of like buddy-buddy. They're companions and they like to stay together. In fact, they have to stay together. And the trick is to remember two things. First, they don't like to be separate. Not only wants to be with but also. Either wants to be with or, in fact has to be with or, neither has to be with nor, and we like to keep both with and. So that's the first principle. The second principle is that they like to be matchy-matchy. So what comes after one has to come after another. When you remember that rule, this is one of the easiest grammar rules that you need to remember related to parallelism and helping people navigate your sentence effectively. I'm going to give you a couple of examples of incorrect use of connectives. Okay, so let's say that I'm arranging a business trip and I communicate back to my boss and I say I will fly either to Texas or fly to Kansas. Now the trick with parallel connectives is not to use your ear, because if I use my ear, that sounds okay. However, this actually breaks the grammatical rule of being parallel. Remember, our buddy-buddies need to be together and they need to be matchy-matchy. So what comes after one must come after the other. Well, here's what you do when you see parallel connectives. Here's how you test it out. So you want to write, when you're editing, when you're reviewing this, when you're thinking about it, you've got to use a pen, you've got to mark up your paper. So take your pen, and here's what you're going to do. You're going to circle the parallel connectives. So circle the parallel connectives. Either find the other parallel connective or, and then simply underline what comes after it. If they match, great. We've met the parallelism rule. If they don't, then we've got a problem because they're unhappy and we've broken that rule. So I'm going to underline what comes after the connective. In this case, it's the preposition to, and after this connective is the verb fly. Not a match. Not parallel, breaks a grammatical rule. Now the great thing about this is, even if you go, I don't remember what to is, I don't know what kind of word it is, you don't have to know. As long as you can recognize that to and fly don't match in format, you know that this breaks the parallelism rule. And remember, this is not just a style guideline, this is actually a grammatical rule. When I use those parallel connectives, what comes after one must come after the other. So let me fix this sentence so you can read it in the correct way. Okay, so here's one way that I can actually fix my sentence. Now, I'm getting out my pen, I'm going to test it again. I'm going to circle my connective either, I'm going to circle my connective or, and I'm going to underline what comes next to it. And they match, they're both prepositions. Let me show you one more way because there are lots of options. As long as I stay parallel or I keep them matchy-matchy, then I'm good. So let me show you one more way that we can fix this sentence. Okay, so this is another happy sentence. Why? Because I have my parallel connectives, either and or, and in this case, I have a verb coming after the first parallel connective and another verb coming after the second. So I will either fly to Kansas or drive to Texas. And I think I'm going to choose to fly to Kansas. It would be a very long drive to Texas. So good example of parallelism. Now let me show you one more parallel connective to illustrate this. All right, so again, we have another very common sentence that you might hear and you might think, this sounds okay. We need not only your signature, but also we need Jane's approval. To the ear, this sounds okay, but automatically, this is a trigger point. I see, oh, alert, alert, this is a parallel connective word. Remember, both and, either or, neither nor, not only but also. You've got to commit those to memory. So I look up here and I go, okay, I've got a not only but also. I'm going to test it out. So I take my pen, I circle the not only, I circle the but also, and I underline what comes after it. So in this case, what comes after the not only is a possessive pronoun. I'm showing that it's some sort of object that I own that comes right after. I've got a possessive pronoun. And after this but also, I have a noun. It's a pronoun functioning as a subject. It's a pronoun functioning as a subject. So not parallelism. So how do I change this sentence, clean it up so that I have good parallelism? Let's revise it so that we make it correct. Okay, so now in this case, I have my not only, I've got my but also, and I have an object in possession of something else. So I have my possessive pronoun and I have my possessive noun. Now I've got a good match and the sentence is effective. So when you're going through your sentences and you're dealing with those parallel connectives, remember two things. One, they need to be buddy-buddy. They have to stick together. You're never, ever, ever going to say neither or either nor. It doesn't work. Either goes with or, neither goes with nor. Not only, with but also, and then what comes after one has to come after the other, and you'll make a happy sentence.